Hello everyone, I'm Zigzag from 4S Virtual Combat Squadron. In this video I will show you how to start the engine by using the ground power unit. English is not my native language, so please forgive me for my Tarzan English. To begin with, let me tell you that this is a procedure that I figured out. I'm not familiar with the actual procedure for starting the F-18 engines with the ground power unit. I invite all viewers familiar with the F-18 to please post comments about the accuracy of my procedure. If you find anything in error, please let me know. In your virtual flighting career, it has probably happened to you to attempt starting the F-18 engines without fuel, just by using the onboard APU. Then the APU air pressure exhausted, ending up without any energy to start the F-18 engines. To start the engines without an onboard APU, the first step is to call for a ground crew to attach a ground power unit which will supply electrical energy as well as compressed air for an air starter. To do so, do the following. First, let us remove a pill stick so as to get a better view of the cockpit instrument. Safely first, activate the ejection seat. Place the battery switch in the on position. Place the APU switch in the on position. After a little while, a green indicator light will come on, indicate the APU is ready to be used to start the engine. With APU ready, place the engine cranking switch to right to crank the right engine. Observe the engine RPM, and when it crosses 25%, move the right throttle lever to the idle position. This will open the fuel flow to the right engine, which allows the engine to start running. The engine RPM will go little about 16%, and the right engine is now running. What happened now? Well, the APU has quit running and the right engine is slowing down to a stop. Why? Because we did not check for the fuel level in the tanks, and the fuel level was 0. Pull the right throttle lever into the engine stop position. Let us go ahead and fuel the airplane up so that we'll be able to start and run the engine. Important note: when fueling up, make sure you fill the fuel tanks to a minimum of 20% capacity. If you take only 10% of fuel, there is a bug in the simulator that will allow the engines to start using a ground power unit. However, as soon as the fuel level drops to 9%, the engines will shut down the same way as if the fuel tanks were empty. As you see, right now in Serbia it's snowing, and the outside temperature is -2 degrees Celsius. You can see the temperature by looking at the exit house temperature display. Look at the temperature of the left engine, not the right engine exit house temperature, because the right engine was running a minute ago and is still warm. The fuel is now loaded, and while ground crew is checking the weapons around the airplane, I will show you that the onboard APU can no longer run because all compressed air is exhausted. That's the reason for the necessity of calling for ground crew assistance to start the engines. Important notice: always ask for a fuel first, then for external power from ground crew. If you ask for ground power first, the engine will not start. This is probably a bug in a simulator.
Rearming complete.
request the ground power.
Chief, turn on the ground power. Copy. Ground power is now on.
The ground power is now connected. F18 on board electrical system has to be switched to external electrical ground power supply. The battery switch, which is still in the onboard battery supply position as indicated by the signal light, must be moved to external power supply position. Right click on the external power switch to reset position and we switch it to ground power. The onboard battery supply signal light will turn off automatically. With the ground power unit connected, now there is the power to turn on the cab lights for better visibility in the cab. Also, position information lights can be turned on as well. And there are 4 switches that are involved with handling external power supply. As shown on this panel, switches number 2 and number 4 will be moved to position B to provide the power supply for ATC air data computer, EMD engine monitor display, and for UHF-1 and UHF-2 radios for the use of SRS simple radio as needed. Let me try to move this switch to B position. What? They will not stay in position. Well, here is the solution. The switch needs to be pushed to position and held there for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and switch stay in position. As you see, when the switch number 2 is in position B, the engine display will turn on. Switch number 4 should also be placed in position B to activate ACS intercom communication system so that we can lower the canopy and continue communicating with ground personnel and to turn on FCS flight control electronic system, whose indication we see here. Next, place switches number 1 and number 3 in the A position so that the remaining system and display can be activated. We will skip this step and proceed with starting the engines. With snowflakes falling all over the place, we will lower the canopy and close the cab. To start the engine, compressed air supply is needed on the top of having the ground power connected. To start the engine, except ground power, we need an air starter. Request the ground air supply.
Chief, connect ground air supply. Copy. Ground air supply is now connected.
Bleed air has to be close to ensure the proper direction on the air flow from the external air supply unit. Then place the engine crack switch to the right position. Next, ask a ground crew to open compressed air supply.
Apply ground air supply. Copy. Air is now applied.
After engine RPM passes about 25%, move the right throttle lever to the idle position to open the fuel flow to the right engine and the engine will start running. Observe the ground power switches. As you can see, as soon as the engine RPM exceeds 16%, which means the engine is running, the onboard generator is activated and the ground switches are automatically turned off. Now the onboard generator is supplying the power for your airplane. The engine crank switch will automatically turn itself off. It returns to middle position. Let us repeat the procedure for the left engine. Place the engine crank switch to the left position. Now I will deliberately move the left throttle handle to the idle position to show that the engine will start like that too. I do not know if this is a bug or it's possible to start the engine in this way. Now ask the ground crew to connect the compressed air to the left engine.
Chief, apply ground air supply. Copy. Air is now applied.
The engines are now running. Engine crank switch is in the off position, so we can now move the bleed air selector knob in the normal position. Now we can follow our standard avionics startup and adjustment procedure and activate all necessary system.
Chief, disconnect ground air supply. Copy. Ground air supply is now disconnected. Chief, turn off the ground power.
We are ready to taxi.
Fuel low. Fuel low.
And while passing under the bridge, we will finish today's lesson. Thank you for watching and greetings.